Imagine waking up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, disoriented and covered in blood. The last thing you remember is a heated argument with the person you love most. But when you check your phone, you find chilling messages, and when you step outside, you see flashing police lights. Your girlfriend, your closest confidant, is lying lifeless in the next room. What would you do if you discovered that you were the prime suspect in her murder, and worse yet, you have no memory of how she died? Would you believe that you could be the one to take her life, or would you question everything about yourself and the truth you thought you knew? This is exactly what happened to Tom Weaver, a man who found himself in the most nightmarish situation imaginable. A successful man in many respects, but one who would be haunted by an unbearable question: did he kill his girlfriend? Was it possible that in a fit of anger, or perhaps under some other unknown influence, he took her life? Or was there a deeper, darker force at work, a twist that no one could have predicted? In the United States, the number of homicides committed by intimate partners is staggering, with nearly 1,500 cases every year. But what happens when someone is wrongfully accused or doesn't even remember committing the crime? Could something as simple as a blackout or a hidden secret be enough to turn a person's life upside down? Did you know that studies show a significant number of cases where the suspect had no memory of their actions during the commission of a crime? In fact, more than 2 million people are incarcerated today in the U.S., many of them dealing with various mental health struggles, memory issues, or influence from substances. This is the chilling reality behind many violent crimes, where the perpetrator may not even know they are the perpetrator. What happens when the truth becomes blurry, and a suspect's own mind is a maze of deception, guilt, and confusion? A seemingly normal night in the life of Tom Weaver and his girlfriend, Sophie, would soon spiral into a nightmare no one saw coming. Sophie was found dead in their shared apartment, and Tom was the prime suspect, guilty without question. But Tom's own experience was one of foggy memories, fragmented recollections, and a sense of disorientation that clouded his understanding of what had truly happened. On the surface, it seemed like a typical case of domestic violence gone too far. But as Detective Maggie Ryan delves deeper into the evidence, a different, darker truth begins to surface, one that no one could have predicted. Was Tom guilty of a crime he couldn't remember? Or was there something more sinister at play? A secret so dark it could explain the violence, the memory loss, and the deadly confrontation that ended Sophie's life. As the investigation unfolds, shocking twists and unexpected revelations will leave everyone questioning the very nature of truth, memory, and guilt. How far does a person's subconscious go to protect them from what they've done, and how far would Tom go to find out the truth about himself? This case begins with a question: was Tom Weaver the killer? From the outside, the evidence seemed irrefutable. A history of arguments. Blood found on Tom's hands. Sophie's lifeless body in the next room. But as we dig deeper, the facts seem too neat, too perfect. It doesn't feel like a crime of passion, it feels like something was orchestrated, manipulated, and hidden. What starts as a straightforward murder investigation becomes a twisting journey that will leave everyone involved in the case questioning their assumptions about Tom Weaver, about Sophie, and the dark secrets that were kept hidden for far too long. But here's the shocking part: what if Tom Weaver isn't guilty at all? What if the entire case is built on faulty assumptions and hidden truths that no one could have predicted? Stay with us as we unravel the chilling events that led to Sophie's tragic death. As we move through the investigation, expect twists, secrets, and revelations that will challenge everything you think you know about memory, guilt, and the real motives behind this horrific crime. Because in this story, things are not as they appear on the surface, and the truth is far darker than anyone could imagine. In the heart of California, behind the high walls of a prison-like structure, a chilling crime took place, one that sent shockwaves through both the prison system and the outside world. Tom Weaver, a young, successful man with a clean record and no history of violence, suddenly found himself at the center of a horrific crime. Sophie, his girlfriend of 3 years, was discovered brutally murdered in their shared apartment. The scene was chaotic, with signs of a violent struggle, blood splattered across the floor, and Sophie's body lying lifeless in the middle of the room. At first, all evidence pointed directly to Tom. His fingerprints were on the weapon, his blood was found at the scene, and he was the last person seen with Sophie. As the investigation unfolded, Tom's memory of the night became a blur. He had no recollection of what had transpired that evening. He was covered in blood, disoriented, and confused. Was Tom Weaver really capable of such a brutal act? Was it possible that his mind had betrayed him, causing him to unknowingly murder the woman he loved? The case against Tom seemed straightforward, but as Detective Maggie Ryan dug deeper, disturbing truths began to surface, making it clear that this case was not as simple as it appeared. Was Tom the killer, or was something darker at play, something that would unravel the lives of everyone involved? But the truth doesn't end with just the murder of Sophie. As the investigation progresses, Detective Ryan uncovers shocking secrets that no one, including Tom, could have predicted. Was Tom even capable of murder? Or was he the victim of something far more sinister? Sophie wasn't just any ordinary woman. Her life, her relationships, and even her death held secrets that were hidden beneath the surface, waiting to be exposed. The web of deceit, lies, and manipulation surrounding Tom and Sophie only grows more complicated as Detective Ryan investigates deeper into their pasts, uncovering skeletons neither of them could have ever imagined. As the story unravels, it becomes clear that Tom wasn't the only one hiding secrets. Sophie's life before her death was a puzzle, one that would have deadly consequences. The first piece of the puzzle was the crime scene. The apartment was filled with blood, and Tom was found in the kitchen, holding the weapon used to kill Sophie. The evidence seemed to be damning. How could he not be the murderer? But as Detective Maggie Ryan began to investigate further, she found herself questioning the obvious. Why had Tom been in such a disoriented state? Why was there a lack of signs indicating a struggle between the two before the fatal blow? Had Tom actually done it, or was he being framed? Sophie's family and friends had nothing but praise for her, describing her as kind, loving, and full of life. They could not fathom why anyone would want to harm her, let alone Tom, who had been in a seemingly perfect relationship with her. However, the more Detective Ryan dug into Sophie's personal life, the more disturbing details began to surface. Sophie had been involved in a secretive relationship with someone from her past, someone Tom knew little about. Could this be the motive? Had the relationship between Sophie and Tom taken a dark turn? Tom Weaver. As we delve into Tom's background, we learn more about his personality, his past, and the troubled relationship he had with his father. Tom grew up in a family where love was scarce, and his struggles to find peace in a chaotic world had led him to make some bad decisions. His relationship with Sophie was his first real shot at happiness. They met in college and, for the first time, he felt like he had a reason to live. However, beneath the surface, there were deep cracks in their relationship. Tom had struggled with jealousy in the past, feeling a sense of insecurity whenever Sophie was around other men. He constantly feared losing her, which strained their relationship. He was also haunted by an unresolved past, unable to let go of the trauma his family had left on him. The day before Sophie's murder, Tom had received a message from an unknown source, warning him about Sophie's actions. It was a cryptic message, and it left Tom rattled. He wasn't sure what to believe, but the paranoia it created lingered. Had Sophie been hiding something from him? Had she betrayed him in some way? Sophie was a beautiful and intelligent woman who seemed to have it all together. But there were many things about her life that Tom never knew. Her past relationships, her financial troubles, and even her family dynamics all played a part in the tragic events that unfolded. Sophie had been hiding a secret relationship, one that, if exposed, could destroy everything she had built with Tom. Sophie's secret affair wasn't just about physical attraction, it was about an emotional connection she had never been able to let go of. And when Tom began to uncover the truth, the weight of the betrayal was too much for him to handle. Sophie had been planning to leave Tom and start anew, but the secrets she had kept were her undoing. The story of Tom and Sophie's relationship would be explored in depth, starting from their initial meeting to the deepening of their connection. Tom, always insecure, sought validation from Sophie, who was supportive and loving at first. But as time went on, the relationship became strained. Tom became more possessive, and Sophie started to feel trapped. She had her own dreams, ambitions, and a side of her life that Tom didn't know about. As Sophie began her secret affair, she found herself torn between her loyalty to Tom and her longing for something different. The affair started out as an escape, a way to feel appreciated, desired, and alive again. But what started as an affair driven by emotional needs soon spiraled out of control. She became trapped in a situation she couldn't escape. Tom, oblivious to the affair, had no idea that his girlfriend's love for him was fading. The emotional toll on Sophie was immense, but she kept it hidden, pretending everything was fine. On the night of Sophie's murder, things had been different. There was tension in the air, an argument between the two about trust, jealousy, and secrets. Tom had discovered something was amiss. Sophie was distant, and his mind started to race. Was she hiding something from him? The trust they had was crumbling, and Tom couldn't handle it. The fight between them escalated quickly. Sophie, who had been planning to leave Tom, finally confronted him about their troubled relationship. She admitted to the affair, and for Tom, this was the last straw. His emotions, fueled by anger and insecurity, led to a violent outburst. Detective Maggie Ryan is a seasoned investigator with a sharp mind. She quickly suspects something off about the crime scene. The pieces of evidence don't add up. Tom was found at the scene, but the injuries on Sophie's body didn't match what would typically occur in a domestic murder. There were no signs of forced entry, and the weapon used wasn't found nearby. Her first step was to examine the couple's relationship. Through interviews with friends, family, and co-workers, Detective Ryan uncovers troubling facts. Tom and Sophie had been fighting regularly, and rumors of Sophie's affair began to surface. Detective Ryan also uncovers a trail of blackmail emails and messages that Sophie had been hiding from Tom. It seems there were many layers to Sophie's life that no one had realized, secrets that might explain why Tom had been so consumed with rage. Detective Maggie Ryan was meticulous, and as she started putting together the pieces of the case, she realized there were many contradictions. Tom's memory loss, Sophie's cryptic behavior in the days leading up to her death, and the absence of a clear motive for murder all kept her questioning everything. The first step in the investigation was understanding the relationship between Tom and Sophie. As Detective Ryan interviewed their friends, family, and co-workers, she began to see a more complicated picture emerge. Sophie wasn't just a victim of a domestic dispute, there were layers to her life that no one had known about. Through interviews with Sophie's best friend, Emily, Detective Ryan learned that Sophie had confided in her about a complicated relationship with someone at work. Emily mentioned that Sophie had been increasingly distant in the months leading up to the murder. Sophie had become withdrawn and was frequently missing family events. What started as light-hearted discussions about life and relationships seemed to have evolved into something much darker. Further investigation into Sophie's finances revealed a troubling pattern. There were unexpected withdrawals from her bank account, and she had been sending large sums of money to someone who wasn't listed as a known friend or family member. Detective Ryan quickly followed the trail and learned that Sophie had been paying for Tom's debts without his knowledge. This raised a red flag. Was Sophie trapped in a relationship where she was giving more than she received? The discovery of Sophie's secret affair was the most shocking revelation. Detective Ryan located an encrypted email account Sophie had set up with a man from her past, someone Tom had never met. It turned out that Sophie had rekindled a relationship with an old high school boyfriend, Mark Harris, who had been living across town. As Detective Ryan delved deeper into the investigation, she discovered that Mark Harris had been keeping a close eye on Sophie for years. Sophie had been involved in a long-distance relationship with Mark before she met Tom, and the two had reconnected in recent months. But what Detective Ryan didn't know was that Mark had been following Sophie's movements more closely than anyone realized. Through tracking Mark's communications, Detective Ryan discovered that Sophie and Mark had discussed leaving Tom behind. In one email, Sophie had expressed her frustration with Tom's increasingly controlling behavior and his growing jealousy. She mentioned that she felt trapped in a relationship that had once been full of promise but had slowly turned toxic. Then, a piece of crucial evidence came in. Detective Ryan received a tip-off about a conversation overheard in the prison where Tom had been incarcerated for a brief stint during his younger years. An inmate, Charlie Daniels, claimed to have witnessed Tom interacting with Mark Harris in a heated conversation. Charlie had heard Tom threatening Mark over some unresolved issue. Was this a warning that Tom felt the pressure of betrayal and control long before Sophie's death? While most of the investigation had been focused on Tom, there were aspects of the case that didn't add up. Detective Ryan noticed an unusual pattern. Tom had been extremely isolated in the weeks leading up to Sophie's death. He was keeping to himself, not speaking to friends or family about the troubles in his relationship. He had withdrawn into himself completely, and this behavior was inconsistent with his usual personality. The breakthrough in the case came when Detective Ryan found a key piece of evidence, Tom's old cell phone, which had been wiped clean. After a thorough forensic investigation, she uncovered a series of encrypted messages between Tom and a person known as Mark Harris. These texts revealed that Mark Harris had made a deal with Tom to help him out of financial trouble, under the condition that Sophie would never know the true nature of their relationship. This new evidence painted a different picture of the story. It revealed that Tom and Mark had been working together to deceive Sophie, both financially and emotionally. But as the investigation continued, the big question remained. Did Tom know about Sophie's secret affair with Mark before her death? And could the affair have been the catalyst for Sophie's death? Just when the investigation seemed to hit a dead end, Detective Ryan uncovered new evidence that revealed a shocking twist. DNA evidence from Sophie's body, combined with phone records and forensic analysis of Tom's actions that night, pointed to a chilling conclusion. Tom Weaver had indeed been the one to kill Sophie, but it was not in the way anyone expected. As Detective Ryan pieced together the pieces of the puzzle, she discovered that Sophie's death was a tragic accident rather than a premeditated murder. The affair had been a source of extreme emotional tension for Tom, and when he found out that Sophie was planning to leave him, he snapped. But in the heat of the argument, Tom didn't remember the exact moment when things escalated. He only remembered his rage and the confusion afterward. But here's the twist: after the discovery of an encrypted file on Sophie's phone, everything began to make sense. The file contained a set of messages between Tom and Sophie, as well as some deleted videos that showed Tom in a state of distress, claiming to remember nothing from the night. The twist revealed that Tom had been unknowingly drugged. His drinks had been laced with a sedative, one that caused temporary memory loss and heightened emotional sensitivity. This revelation suggested that Sophie's ex-lover, Mark Harris, had been plotting the entire thing. He had manipulated both Tom and Sophie for months, orchestrating a series of events that led to Sophie's death, and ultimately, Tom's conviction. The affair had been a manipulation from the start, with Mark pulling strings behind the scenes. After a long and tumultuous trial, Tom Weaver was convicted of manslaughter, not murder. The jury believed that his actions were caused by a combination of intense emotional turmoil, the influence of the sedative, and the extreme stress from the affair. While Tom was given a reduced sentence, the damage was done. His life, once full of promise, was now a shadow of what it could have been. As the legal case came to a close, Sophie's family was left to pick up the pieces. They had lost a daughter, a sister, a friend, someone who had been caught in a web of deceit and manipulation. The community was divided, some feeling sympathy for Tom and others blaming him for Sophie's untimely death. The emotional toll was profound for everyone involved. Tom's family struggled to come to terms with the fact that their son and brother had been involved in such a tragedy. His parents, while supportive, couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about Tom's actions that night. Could he have prevented it? Could he have done more to control his emotions? On the other side, Sophie's family was devastated, and though they tried to find closure, the complexity of the case left them with more questions than answers. Had Tom been innocent in his mind? Could he have been manipulated into killing the woman he loved? Their grief was compounded by the realization that Sophie had been living a life full of secrets, and they had never truly known who she was. What do you think happened in this case? Do you believe Tom Weaver was guilty of the crime, or was he manipulated by external forces beyond his control? Could the affair and the sedative have played a role in clouding his memory? What would you do if you were caught in such a tragic situation? Do you think justice was served? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe for more shocking true crime stories like this one. We delve into complex investigations, uncovering the most twisted mysteries and hidden truths. You don't want to miss what's coming next.